Deep in the forest of Chotanagpur, far away from worldly commotion, life of tribals was in serene abode. Behind there, hiding their miseries, they wore a mask of joyful living, veiling a torturous life caused by Jamindari Pratha, a system that governed their lives. Until 1868, Christian faith had not arrived to tribal land of Chotanagpur. It was Father Augustus Stockman S.J. who was the first Catholic missionary to arrive Chotanagpur. This was the time when tribals underwent sufferings and difficulties caused by the Jamindari system that existed ever since 1793. As a result, most of the Adivasis had to lose their land ownership rights, which actually belonged to them from the beginning. The situation became bad to worse when Adivasis were to pay the taxes for their own lands. Besides this, their illiteracy added extra pain on their adversaries. They had a tough time to prove that land belonged to them without having any written documents, as all their documents were with landlord's custody. They were left with an option to pay the taxes or be abandoned from their own homes and lands and settle elsewhere. The second option for them was Bait Begari, which meant work without any pay with unending hours. This is where the land grabbing hit the door. Acres and acres of their lands were seized on the pretext that the particular tax was not paid. Hardly did an Adivasi go to court to report this. Winning over them was far away from their imagination. Moreover, the court proceedings were all done in Hindi or Urdu. For them, it sounded Greek and Chinese. On the flip side, they didn't even have a sufficient monetary provision that was required to fight the case. The Adivasis had nothing left with them but distress, disappointment, and inner turmoil. On top of it, they had fear of evil spirits and ghosts. They had no one above them that they could address their miseries to. In 1885, Father Constant Lievens arrived at Doranda, Jamgai, a place 15 kilometers away from Ranchi main town. Filled with zeal and passion to work for the God's kingdom, he immediately put all his effort to learn the local languages like Hindi, Mundari and Kuduk, as they were the only means to help Father communicate and relate with the locals there. Very soon he began to learn how tribals had to undergo endless adversities. He learned that the landlords, the exploitations, contractors, cops, and the government officials were giving these tribals enough of troubles. Father was pained at heart with the atrocities the tribals faced. As the days passed staying in the locality, Father was assigned to teach catechism to the children of Jamgai. Father, though engaged himself in the task assigned, thought of doing far greater things for the kingdom of God than just teaching catechism. Having realized the reasons of the local people's plight and root cause of it, Father Lievens on 23rd November 1885 shifted himself to Torpa, a region inhabited by Mundas. While residing in a hut at Torpa, Father came across a police friend whose name was Vishweshwar, a high caste Hindu. Father enjoyed his company and learned quite a lot about the country, its laws and customs. Father Constant was enthralled onto winning the souls for Christ. He, however, had no idea exactly how to enter into the lives of the local Adivasis to actualize his zeal. Once, while in discussion, Vishweshwar told Father as to how he could have more fruits in terms of winning the souls if he associated himself with them in their fight for their land, giving them justice and defend their rights. This friendly advice of his friend ignited a ray of hope in showing him a way to jump onto his mission. He immediately ventured on to learning the land laws, traditional rituals and practices of Adivasis. He also keenly observed the illegal practices of the Jamindars and their oppressive system. When Father Lievens started taking the land cases, it was the first time ever a Jamindar was defeated by a tribal. It was Father Lievens who made it possible for the tribals. The series of the victory of justice went on one after the other. The entire locality saw a great light of hope in Father Lievens. There was a great jubilation all over the region. Finally, the Adivasis found their Messiah who would liberate them from the chain of bondage and slavery. This hope helped them fight for their justice. Inspired by the effect of the mission of Father Lievens, people from village after village came to be baptized and embraced Christianity. This was a massive conversion towards Christianity in the region of Chotanagpur. Father Louis Cardon S.J. was one of the most trusted lieutenants who always carried out the mission work of Father Constant Lievens, even after Father Lievens settled himself in Ranchi. Father Constant Lievens kept the missionary work with him always on the top. For the first 6 months, they would do all the court-related works, fighting for the cases filed against Jamindars and eventually winning over them. And on the other remaining months, when tribal people would be busy cultivating their lands, they would go village after village, educating people. He deeply understood the importance of education for the tribal to liberate them. Towards the end of 1889, there were 15,000 Catholics, 400 villages baptized, and 60 schools and chapels. Between 1889 and 1892, he made 4 subsequent visits to Barwe areas. During this period of visitation, he came to learn how tremendous fear of ghost and evil spirit enslaved the tribals of the region. There is a place called Bhutahaburu, close to Tongo, about which people had a misconception that whoever goes there doesn't come back alive. Father Lievens got an opportunity to tell them that there is no one greater than God.
बरवे का यहाँ शैतान अड्डा जमा हुआ था, अखड़ जंगल था और यहाँ जो भी आदमी आते थे वो कोई बच नहीं सकते थे। और इसी शब्द और बात को सुनकर लीवंस फादर सुने और अपने घोड़े के साथ भर रात यहाँ अपने घोड़े को बांधकर भर रात यहाँ बिताए।
He stayed overnight and came back safely. He was able to convincingly tell them that his God was greater than any other evil spirits and who was able to save him. This became a great reason for the people to embrace Christianity.
उतरने के बाद कोर्टस लीवंस फादर इसी जगह आके 128 आदमी को बपतिस्मा चूंदी काटे और इस जगह हम लोग धार्मिक स्थल मानते हैं।
One must know the missionary approaches of Father Constant Lievens, which he employed in his missionary activities. There is no doubt that Father had a tremendous zeal and intellect. He had a very systematic way of handling his missionary activities. He appointed the catechist for every village in Tola, who could lead and guide people according to the need of the church. He himself wrote the rule books and prayers that they would abide by and recite them as communities. On the day when there used to be a village market, the catechist would go and tell people about Father Constant Lievens and his work for them. He always kept St. Francis Xavier as his model. He said, "If he could do, why not I?" It was a blue fact that Father Lievens always compromised his health with his mission. His most demanding apostolic work and hectic schedule ruined his health. Due to these unhealthy negotiations, eventually, he imbibed the most deadly disease of the times, tuberculosis. In 1891, when Father Lievens went to Darjeeling to recuperate from his sickness, he got to hear that people whom he showed the way to God were turning back to their old faith. Even the catechists whom he appointed to carry out the work in his absence were claiming for their remuneration. Notwithstanding the situation back in the mission land, he returned to Ranchi without regaining his health any better. He said, "I have still so much to do." He revisited Barway for the last time to settle the matter. In the year 1892, on 1st September, Father Lievens went back to Belgium with a great hope of getting well soon and to make come back to the mission land with new energy and enthusiasm. But unfortunately, he never came back to Chotanagpur again. Father Lievens died at Lievens on 7th November 1893. When he left India for Belgium, Chotanagpur had 80,000 Christians, including catechumens. Lievens' death was the grain of wheat fallen on the ground which would spread and grow. He left us a remarkable and unquenchable fire that will never stop burning within us. He showed the seed of Christianity and lit the light of education among the tribals. At present, the pastoral care of the parishes in the Archdiocese of Ranchi, including Gumla, Simdega and Khunti dioceses, coterminous with the Ranchi Jesuit province, have altogether 126 parishes. There are charismatic stories of winning over evils, and a lot more episodes of adventurous works still told by our ancestors in every village and town.
ये बिंदोरा गांव है। ये गांव लीवंस के समय जमींदारों और राजाओं के अत्याचार शोषण से दबा हुआ था। यहाँ के लोग जब उनका काम होता था पहले, उसके बाद अपना काम करते थे, ऐसा बोला जाता है। फादर लीवंस गुफा में रहते थे, जहाँ घेरा अभी तक है। तो यहीं पर राजाओं महाराजाओं जमींदारों के डर से कभी कभी रहते थे, इसलिए ये गुफा का जो मिट्टी है अभी तक है। और यहाँ पर जो गाछ है वहीं पर अपना घोड़ा को बांधते थे और यहीं पर सोते थे।
फादर लीवंस तुरंत बड़ा नागपुर में कदम उठाया। दिग्या, बेड़ो, लोहरदगा होते हुए वे 12वें जमीन पर पैर रखे। उन्होंने अपने प्रेम, जोश, साहस, उत्साह, धीरज टोंगो के बेंदोरा, कटकाही के पुटरुंगी और नौडी में बिर्री गांव के लोगों का दिल जीत लिया।
Now, why Lievens became a model missionary? First of all, because he had a tremendous zeal for missionary work. He worked day and night tirelessly. So his zeal never stopped him from any hardships or hurdles, either the objections of the jamindar or the obstinacy of the people.
The great Lievens, our friend. He came from a very simple family, farmers. Actually, they owned only a little land and the rest was from the zamindar. And they had to do bedbigari also. So from before already he knew what it meant when he came to Chotanagpur and saw the people here. He knew what it was. And he always had a feeling for the poor, especially the exploited, the hard-working. That remained always with him because he had experienced it and he didn't forget it. He kept it in his own imitation. With religious, and in that way he saw conversion. Ultimately led to baptism, led to believe the Christian, but the way and the whole packet, as it were, was new for Lievens, and that's why he is the apostle of Chotanagpur.
फादर लीवंस जब भारत आए तो वे इस विचार, धारणा और उत्साह के साथ आए थे कि यहाँ पर वे प्रभु यीशु ख्रिस्त के सुसमाचार को फैलाएं, प्रभु के प्रकाश को फैलाएं और बहुत से लोगों को ख्रिस्तीय धर्म में शामिल करें। उनकी यही धारणा थी। हम ये कह सकते हैं कि उनके हृदय में, उनकी आत्मा में एक ज्वाला जल रही थी। ये भी बात थी कि फादर लीवंस ने देखा कि आदिवासी लोगों की विचारधारा क्या थी, उनका दर्शन क्या था, कि उनका विश्वास क्या था। वे एक सर्वोच्च आत्मा को मानते थे और वही आत्मा और भी छोटे छोटे आत्माओं के रूप में यहाँ वहाँ उपस्थित था। तो इसलिए आदिवासी लोगों ने ख्रिस्तीय धर्म को बहुत जल्दी स्वीकार किया, क्योंकि ईश्वर परमात्मा आदि उनके लिए समझने में बहुत सहज हुआ और उन्होंने स्वीकार किया। तो हम यह कह सकते हैं कि फादर लीवंस अपने मिशन कार्य में अगर सफल हुए तो इसलिए सफल हुए क्योंकि उन्होंने लोगों के सर्वांगीण विकास के लिए काम किया। सर्वांगीण विकास के लिए काम किया और साथ साथ उनके विश्वास को भी उन्होंने मजबूत किया, और विश्वास को मजबूत करते हुए उन्हें शिक्षा देते हुए एक तरह से उनके लिए उन्होंने आत्मसम्मान दिया।